those in our community need some support. I have this reading from Ray Bradbury. It will lead us into a moment of silence, reflection, meditation, or prayer. We are the miracle of force and matter making itself over into imagination and will. The life force experimenting with forms. You for one, me for another. The universe has shouted itself alive. We are one of the shouts. Let us pause for a moment of silence, reflection, meditation, or prayer. Voice still and small. He walked, and wondered. He felt very close to nature. He felt very close to God. So close that he felt as if he spoke, God would listen. So he asked, God, are you listening? And God replied, yes, my son, I am here. The man stopped and wondered some more. He looked towards the sky and he said, God, what is 1,000,000 years to you? God replied, well, my son, a second to me is like 1,000,000 years to you. So the man continued to walk and to wonder and to walk and to wonder. And he looked at the sky again and said, God, what is $1,000,000 to you? And God said, my son, a penny to me is like $1,000,000. Means almost nothing to me. Does not even have a value. It is so little. But the man looked down and he wondered some more. And it hit me. He looked up at the sky and said, God, can I have $1 million? And God replied, sure, just a second. At this time, your offering will be received. Your opportunity for generosity in support of Community Church. We have a responsive reading. Connections are made slowly. This is number 568 in the back of your hymnal. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. We build connections, create build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Be kindly and interceding and take more in. The ticket from ramble others to the outside, but to us interconnected with vagabonds and girls' layers. Live as if you like yourself, and it may happen. Reach out, you reach out, you bring in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always. For every garden knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of continued growth, the harvest comes. Jack. Have you ever wondered about the holidays? Ever wondered how things would work out, especially if you were attending a family gathering? This month's theme is wonder. There are a number of questions on wonder in your order of service. They are on the yellow pages. Questions on wonder. One of the final questions asks, what takes the wonder out of your holiday season? Its follow-up question is, how are you going to prevent that from happening again this year? Today's service was prepared from the tradition into which I entered Unitarian Universalism, a secular humanist approach to faith. Today there will be no discussion of the Pope, the Vatican, Mary or the Apostle John, something we heard about last week. There will be no look at mystics, dreams, or prophecy, something we have heard in the past. There will be no yoga, no breathing techniques, little or no right brain activity. We turn our minds today to the holidays, to this season, a time when many of us visit with our extended family. We tend to expect the best during these holiday gatherings, but the fact of the matter is, many problems appear during this season. Psychiatrist John M. Grohol says up to 10% of our population suffers from holiday depression to some degree or another. Darlene Lancer lists several of the strains people face at this time. The thing that leads this 10% to time of difficulty. There may be financial strains. The seasonal joys can be restricted if you don't have an ability to participate. There may be a heightened sense of stress due to the activity. Shopping and planning dinners takes a toll on people. There may be loneliness or grief. When memories are filled with a reminiscence of others, a holiday alone can be painful. It is also difficult to please everybody. Problems with relatives, we have found, lead to guilt, unworthiness, and even depression. And many suffer from seasonal affective disorder. Now, this is more common north of the Mason-Dixon line, so if you're going to go up there for the holidays, you might be aware that somebody may be affected by this. May even bother you a bit too. I bring these up because a foreknowledge and understanding of holiday stressors can help us prepare for this season, and this season will be prepared for you. But you can only do it yourself. Nobody else will take care of you but you. So as you enter this season, it might be a good idea to avoid overeating, something everyone seems to be doing. Might be a good idea to carefully monitor your drinking. Could save yourself some trouble. Help you deal with those who are in trouble. Might be a good idea to step away from situations that could lead to stress and hope that you recognize them early enough so you can step away if need be. This is a good time to reach out to friends and potential friends. It is good to have people to lean on. Consider volunteering during this season. It helps to stay in touch with people. Spend extra time with a hobby or activity. Keeping your hands moving takes some of the pressure off of our minds. So there are a number of things we can do. But I like these words. A gentle word, a kind look, a good-natured smile can work wonders and accomplish miracles. William Haslam. Is it possible, I wonder, to enter this season with an intention to share gentleness, kindness, and compassion, to bring that with you into this Advent season? How can I be more gentle, more kind, more compassionate? Is that something to be considered? There is one other stressor shared by Lancer, and this is the one I want to focus on today. It is estrangement. Sadly, estrangement often occurs during the holidays. When you're not able to speak to a relative, I'm quoting, family get-togethers can usher in feelings of sadness, guilt, resentment, or inner conflict about whether to communicate. Let me give you an example of how this can happen. I must tell you, this occurred many years ago, well before I came to CCUU, which means you do not have to look around and wonder if I share something about somebody you know. I was a ministerial intern, and I met Jeff and Jill early in December in the church office. They wanted to discuss last year's holidays. They were two great people. I liked them both, but evidently Jeff's sister did not like Jill. Jill had picked up on her many digs on Jill's hairstyle, their choice of clothes, even the present she had given to Jeff. Jeff's sister had frequent comments about Jill, and all these little snipings were unnerving. They accumulated over time. Jill felt less loved than she wanted to be, especially because this was family. A family she was growing into. But they had more to share about this. They arrived at Jeff's parents' house a few days before Christmas, and Jill sat quietly through a series of offensive statements. But the swipes added up, and on Christmas Day, Jill reached the point of no return, and she reacted to an attack on her intelligence. It's not fair, she said. And she went further. I forget everything what was said, but kindness vacated the room at that time. That was why they came to visit me. You see, Jeff's mother had defended her daughter. What mother does not defend her daughter? And then Jeff's mother went on to share what had happened with her sisters. Now, these aunts were not there. They had attended another holiday dinner, but when the telephone report of the day's proceedings came to them, they became upset with Jill. Now, they had not heard what Jeff's sister had said, nor had they seen the hurt look on Jill's face when her sister-in-law attacked her. They were unaware of all the interactions that pushed Jill over the edge. Yet, these aunts decided that Jeff and Jill should be excluded from every family event. All of them. Jeff's mother and father did not go along with that. They wouldn't do that, said Jeff. And this led the aunts and their families to boycott the 4th of July celebration. This holiday event that had regularly been a huge family hoedown was turned into a small event where everybody tiptoed around each other. And Jeff and Jill had not enjoyed the 4th of July. And they were considering avoiding Christmas. That was why they had come to me. That was what they wanted to talk about. Now, I thought of dominoes when they told me their story. There's a domino effect with certain things you say, said Johnny Vegas, a British actor and comedian. This domino effect reminds us of what happens when words take off from a situation in which they are shared and move out and are heard by many others. None of us wants to be a source of such a flurry of reaction, and passing along. So the question is, what can we do to avoid this? What can we do? That's what I wonder. We begin where we are. It's your mind that controls this world, said the Buddha. Each of us has ultimate control over what will happen to us. I believe that we are solely responsible for our choices, and we have to accept the consequences of every deed, word, and thought throughout our lifetime. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. There is a connection that links the first domino with the last one. If you take and set up a few dominoes, and we all know how this works, and you set them in a row very carefully, every one of them, we are aware, although not attached to each other, line up in a row. And that row, once started, leads to the tipping of every other domino in the row. The key is to avoid being the first push. Because we all know what will happen when that first domino is pushed. If a hostile force is doing the pushing, your work is to avoid being intimidated. Intimidated. Now that's an interesting word. If you take the id out of intimidate, it becomes intimate. You know, I like intimacy in my holiday settings. It is good to be intimately connected to the people around us. If you value intimacy, there are 4 steps you can take to protect yourself. The first step is to get real. Get over the shock. Understand that some people are cruel. That's the way they are. We have seen people like that. Others do not know what they are doing. There are those here too. What difference does it make? Let it be. The second step is to stay silent, like Jill was doing. Stay silent and go deep. Find that center part. Reflect within yourself for a time. Tune in to what your heart and your soul are saying. And the third is to diffuse the use with wiser eyes. Accusing others only makes them angry. Find a way to say, I feel, or I think, or it affects me badly when you say. This allows the person who is being more aggressive to think in a little different way about what is happening. And the fourth step is to take a risk. Take a risk. After the I statements, step into the truth revealed to you when you got real. Something is going on in that realness inside of you. What is it? How can you explain it? Take a risk. Share. Deeply, intimately, not intimidatingly, intimately share. Taking these 4 steps, getting over the shock, centering, making I statements, and then engaging, effectively blocks the domino effect. On the other hand, if it has happened, effectively blocks. Effectively blocks. If it has happened that you have been the instigator, it's important to be careful. As my mama used to say, mind your tongue. Watch out for what you say and how you say. Failing to speak in a way that hurts other people prevents the change from being set in motion. When you understand that the community around you is in a relationship, then your own special, self-serving, perhaps even greedy interests are less important than they once were. So be careful. Avoid becoming the cause of any hostility. As for Jeff and Jill, we talked about dominoes. We looked at the entire situation. And we looked at it from a different way than they had when they entered the office. I did not have these 4 steps at that time, but I had enough within to be able to redirect a little bit of what their concerns were. They left with an ability to speak with I statements. I statements. These are statements that often come up among Unitarian Universalists because, frankly, this community is about helping each and every one of us to become leaders, directors,